Thanks. I'm kind of like, I feel like I'm on this daily mission, cannot be stopped. I mean, I come from someone who just struggled so much in my life. I struggled so much in my childhood, and my younger years, and I could feel that struggle, within me all the time. And I'm so grateful that I was able to overcome it. I'm so grateful that I pulled together tools and concepts and ideas and strategies and education to help me get to the other side and know how grateful and beneficial and just much more energetic and youthful and everything I feel being on that other side. So I just feel like I have to just work tirelessly to help everyone get there, because it's so much better. There's
Yeah.
such a greater way of living out there that so many people have yet to tap into.
I mean, that is super empowering. And we haven't even started this conversation yet. Just tell me, very top level, give us your name and currently what it is that you do.
Okay, so my name is Ilana Muhlstein. I grew up in New York City, morbidly obese. I had divorced parents, really kind of just unstable, chaotic childhood. I was obsessed with food, used food as my comfort, anything and everything, large volumes of whatever I could get my hands on. I used food as a coping mechanism out of loneliness, out of passion, out of joy, out of celebration, out of hobby, whatever you want to call it. And I really ballooned quite quickly. And at a very early age, I was sent to weight loss camp. I had to go on diets at 8 years old. And I essentially yo yoed with my weight for years, going to weight loss camp or fat camp, returning home, getting bigger, and so forth, until I finally changed my mindset, realized I had to get it together, and then turned an entire life and career out of becoming a registered dietitian, getting my master's degree in nutrition, lecturing and leading a weight loss seminar at UCLA, starting my private practice in Beverly Hills, turned it into a now program that over 240,000 people are doing with my partner Beachbody, called the 2B Mindset. And I just launched a book. It's up for pre-order now on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Walmart, wherever you want to get your book. And it comes out on Tuesday. Our pre-orders are through the roof. Super excited, hoping to get on that New York Times bestseller list, which should be able to occur. But the most important thing is that everyone gets their hands on this book. You can drop it who feels like they are struggling with their weight. They've tried everything, haven't been able to do it. You can do it, but you really need to do it this way.
I love your passion and your energy, Ilana. Let's just unpack that a little bit, right? There's a lot of information there. And the reason why I want to unpack it more is because of the extensive nature of the work that you have done and what you actually do, right? There's a real caring nature behind everything that it is that you do with your projects, whether it's YouTube content or whether it's the book or whether it's the Beachbody content, whatever it is. So let's just go back a little bit. You were living in New York, using food as a way to cover emotions, right?
Yeah.
So at what point in your life did you then figure that out and were able to understand those issues or those emotions more?
I think I was in a swarm of excuses that were not just self created, but that were actually told to me as well. Right. So I would get told from all of my friends' moms and grandparents, and everywhere we go, everyone would be like, "Aw, you're such a pretty face. Like, it's such a waste. Like, what happened to you?" And like, "Oh, Alana, like I was such a known big kid. I was like a walking struggle because it is such a physical manifestation of going through a hard time. And I feel like everyone kind of led me into the excuse wagon as well. Like it was kind of both. I felt like it's not fair, right? Because I'd be like, I had a slice of pizza, she had a slice of pizza. Why is she tiny and I'm big? And it's because she kind of ended at a slice of pizza and then ran around the playgrounds, and I went back for my third and fourth and fifth or whatever it is. You get blinded from those things. And then my parents told me it was my genetics, and that these other kids were just lucky and whatever it is. So I was like, okay, it's my genes, it's my circumstances, whatever it is. And I was just kind of stuck there and thought I would be stuck there. And it wasn't until I kind of started going on to my friends' homes, got into high school, started seeing that we were more independent and seeing that no, it's actually not that my friends are eating the same thing. I have a greater food obsession that they just don't carry. When we're talking about getting ready for an event, I'm thinking, ooh, what are they going to serve? And they're thinking, what are they going to wear? Like, it started becoming more and more apparent to me that it wasn't just my metabolism, it was my mentality. It was someone who was really food focused, food obsessed, victim mindset, just stuck in my ways, feeling like a failure, feeling like I was hopeless. And when it became more and more prevalent to me that I was creating something that could be challenged, that could be changed, that's where I just flipped the switch in my head and I said, I'm not losing this weight for my parents, for my doctor who's telling me that I'm at risk, and for that boy I have a crush on. Like, I really need to do this for me because I'm straight up uncomfortable in this body and it's not going anywhere. It's the body I'm going to be like having to carry for the rest of my life, so it might as well be one that's at the very least not dragging me down, not making me feel like it's something I'm not living in. So
let me ask you real quick. Sorry to interrupt because I'm so mesmerized by the story. How old were you at that point?
about 13, 14. But I have
That
to
was
say,
when
I grew up
really,
young. Yeah. I mean, I had to grow up fast because my
right.
parents, like, I was born on 71st Street between Broadway and West End. I was walking to school by myself at a very early age, taking myself to doctor's appointments, walking myself to and from school, crossing big blocks in New York City. I was, it was definitely, my parents weren't the type to ask me if I had any homework. It was like either I did it, cheated on it, whatever it was, I was kind of self-run. So it wasn't I got to the point where I realized I could blame them for not being more supportive or for not having the tools, but they also had their own struggles. They also didn't know what to do with their weight. They were jumping from diet to diet. So it had to come from me just deciding I was going to take control over this. What goes into my body is utmost of my control, and I could find a better way.
I think that something really important from what you've said is the fact that you were able to acknowledge and face those emotions or fears or whatever it was that you had inside your own mindset at that age, even to then be able to say, okay, I understand this. And because I understand this, I'm going to turn this around because this is my own body and it's my own life and future, right? And I say this every conversation nearly, the way society is set up is for you to not have those thoughts. It's for you to carry on the trajectory you were on, right? And so it's amazing that you were able to do that and now build really a lifestyle and a career from that, but not in a way that a career or business where you're monetizing, but really coming from the passion of your heart to know everything you went through and to be able to then help everybody else. You and I remember we had a really great conversation that came down to you telling me that you wanted to really be helping the next generation, the teens, the youth, the girls, because in inner city areas or wherever in the country, they don't have necessarily the needs or are able to look up to people like yourself to be able to have that mindset you had to then go on a new journey and take that next step, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's why I'm totally in love with TikTok. I mean, I'm almost at 500,000 followers on TikTok. It makes me so happy because my audience there, it's so captivated. It's, of course, now everyone's kind of on TikTok. I'm Nutrition Babe, by the way, on TikTok, Nutrition Babe. But there are so many teenagers on it. And I was a teenager when I changed my mindset, when I took my own ownership of this. And a lot of people when they're older would be like, oh, why do teens have to worry about their weight? They shouldn't worry about their weight. When you say that blanket statement that teens shouldn't worry about it, you're not going to actually change teens' minds. These are teenagers. Who are they looking up to? They're looking up to, these teeny boppers. Of course, they're thinking about their body. They're starting to have crushes and stuff like that. So if you don't actually help them learn to appreciate vegetables or learn new recipes or start to learn how to make a grilled cheese or or an omelet or a smoothie on their own, you ignore it, you pretend like they're not old enough to think about it, and you don't think these kids go on Instagram and they start following like really, really bad, uneducated, unexperienced, influential people telling them they should just be drinking cinnamon and apple cider vinegar and all this stuff. It's harmful. So I've always been, I trademarked my slogan, water first, veggies most, because it's something everyone could do. Everyone could start drinking more water and eating more vegetables. That's not diet mentality. That's just something I wish I knew at a young age, to have an appreciation for, to help me not have an excessive weight gain or be so insecure or ever think I have to cut things out, but focus on what I could add in. So I do definitely try to speak in a tone appropriate way to teenagers. Of course, everyone could take things to extreme and so forth, but there is so much bad diet and weight loss advice out there that if I don't come in at some point, or help people in a way that is simple, sensible, and sustainable, I'm afraid that they're going to learn from someone else. And, the older a client is that I work with, the harder it is to change your mindset, change your ways, especially if you have years of cutting calories and counting carbs and counting macros. It's so much harder to ever trust yourself or relieve the guilt when you do eat normally or live your life normally with grace. So I definitely love to work with the teens so I can teach them healthy eating, healthy living at a younger age. Like my sister, who's 15 and thriving, and it's so nice to see I have this younger sister who's doing so well and navigating the world of health and nutrition in a really balanced way. Because once you achieve that earlier, then you never have to go through this struggle that so many of us know.
Well, I've got a ton of questions and I'll get to a couple in a minute. But as you were talking then, it was making me think, and you and I have had a conversation about this before. There's no external input from the likes of the government or whoever else the governing bodies are to help in the facts of good nutrition, right? Now, good nutrition, if we're talking about good nutrition, it can be, yes, externally what you look like, but also internally for the mindset as well, right? Which you know just as well. Why do you think that? I mean, I think I kind of half know the answer of this, but why do you think that we're not told as a nation or a world, a society, that, look, there are these other options. And if you choose these other options, your life will be so much better. You'll feel more energy. You'll have a clearer mind. But instead, it's more about sugary treats, sugary drinks, sugary foods. What's
So
your
much
take?
of this is backed by, big food companies and everything. The bottom line is sugar is addictive. So we've actually done in studies over and over and over again. We studied this part of the brain called the nucleus accumbens that is really that pleasure seeking center of the brain. And it is activated by sex, gambling, alcohol, all these different stimuli for, drugs you see in studies with rats, with humans, all of it. And we see that sugar has just as, if not sometimes more, stimulating properties to this addictive part of our brain, and it makes you want more. The issue lies in the fact that if something is addicting, then you don't stop buying it. So addiction leads to dollars. So the bottom line is we know that the perfect balance of sugar, salt, and fat will lead to addictive food. So something like an Oreo cookie is one of the best-selling cookies of all time because the cookie is actually salty and fatty, and in the center so sugary, and that balance kind of makes us haywire and eat the cookies one sleeve at a time, one package at a time. So we keep buying more and more, and we can't resist the buy two get one free package deals and so forth. So there's a lot of money that's working against us. And the hard thing is the lack of education that lies within all of this, because within America, we love freedom. We love, don't tell me what to do. Don't restrict me. I don't want to be deprived. And everyone uses these words all the time. Anytime I tell people, like it was Cinco de Mayo, I say, you don't need chips with guacamole and beer in order to celebrate Cinco de Mayo. Like you can make guacamole and eat it with peppers and jicama sticks, and it's still delicious and crunchy and satisfying and works great as a snack. And everyone, some people like to say, oh, that's restriction, that's deprivation. When did we go from a society of that eating veggies and vegetables that our bodies is designed to eat is looked at as deprivation and not a gift, a celebration. Not everyone has access to fresh fruits and vegetables. Like we are blessed and lucky to the opportunity to have access to fresh fruits and vegetables. It is a unfortunate, like if you look at society, those who do eat the most processed foods, like potato chips more often, I mean, a lot of it is tied to socioeconomic status, education, and so forth. So I do think like our mindset in our country is just so backwards, where people think, don't tell me what to eat. Like that loses my freedoms, but they don't realize that so much of your freedom is taken away when you do eat those overly processed foods, because it's really the food companies that are manipulating our choices and kind of designing us into these like like addictive, food like eaters and consumers. And for me, it was really empowering to learn that the licorice and the, all the gummy candies and the peanut butter and jelly, like in the jar, and the cookies and the bread rolls and all these things I was eating that I thought I was finding comforting, they were really like manipulating me into eating in such large quantities and being such a volume eater and being such a binger, and then feeling so gross afterwards, but then craving the rush again. And I think so many people don't realize how much power these food companies and these foods have on us and our ability to control ourselves. And if they understood that, they would actually feel so empowered to eat foods that allow us to feel full and satisfied, not stuffed and icky, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, I mean, the crazy thing is, Ilana, I think it was 2 years into living in Los Angeles, I suddenly realized that the highest concentration of fast food takeout establishments were concentrated in so-called lower income areas, especially in a city of Los Angeles. And it was you and I have spoken about Dan Buettner and the Blue Zones, the amazing work that he does. And I listened to him on a podcast once with Rich Roll, and he was explaining how that if you go to an inner city area, you will see one after another really bad takeout food establishments. And that just, I still can't understand that in my mind, that that's how it works.
I'm really hoping that, COVID-19, this whole era we're in right now, I'm really hoping it creates a reset for society. I think no matter what it's going to, unfortunately, a lot of people are eating their way through it out of stress, out of boredom, out of hopelessness, out of comfort, the same way I did when I found myself in like an unstable, area of chaos. Um, but I really think there has to be change. We're starving for change. I mean, first and foremost, we are seeing that obesity proposes a much higher risk for mortality and from COVID-19. Like we are seeing, aside from being overage, it's really those that are obese and have chronic diseases, a lot caused or conjoining obesity, like heart disease and diabetes, are at a much higher risk of death. And so from COVID-19. So one, I think that hopefully will turn people's headspace around. It will hopefully turn the government's space around, because obesity causes our country, America, so much money in healthcare costs, in preventable healthcare costs. It's wild. So I really hope that helps. Also, we now know like the beef industry, the chicken industry, a lot of them are going to be taking a toll. We're definitely going to probably see, big stock changes in our meat suppliers and everything. I just hope that people replace that with more plants. People I know are gardening more. Like I know I'm planted tomatoes and basil and all this stuff. I hope it's going to turn us more into a more self-sufficient garden growing, plant eating society. But who knows, right? Like you can't say. I wish people looked at this as an opportunity for riding more bikes, taking more walks, eating more vegetables, and so forth. But a lot of people will then take the other view of, this all stinks and I'm going to roll it out and I'm going to wait. But meanwhile, if you aren't caring about your weight and you're living in a society that's so obesity laden, if you're not trying to lose weight or trying to maintain weight or trying to eat healthier, you're likely gaining weight over time and in an unhealthy fashion, like from unhealthy food. So That's why I work tirelessly, Luke. That's why I just try to get as many people on board, because my program is simple and it is sensible and it is sustainable. And I love food. I never stopped loving food. I still love ranch dressing in Thousand Island, but instead of digging it up with a fry, I make like the most crave-worthy roasted broccoli that it actually is delicious, especially when you have cheese on it or Parmesan or whatever it is. So I try to take those crave-worthy flavors, the sugars, the salt, the fats, and make, candied walnuts and this delicious balsamic vinaigrette and throw it over, a really yummy kale and avocado salad, which I know some people are like, that's not yummy, but you do actually acquire a taste for real food, and it actually starts to feel so energetically different in your body and in your satisfaction, and you start to see it in your skin, in your body, in your energy, and all the aspects of you. So that's why I just work so hard to help convince people to see this way and at least give it a try. And if you don't like it, okay, I have a 30-day money back guarantee on my program. I have 30 days free on my subscription. I have, obviously, if you return your book to Amazon if you don't like it, but at least give it a try, at least give it a go.
Yeah, I think so. You and I have spoken about this before. The path that I took into fitness and wellness was very similar in what you were just explaining with regards to taste of foods, right? I wanted to be fit to be able to surf more than once a day for a friend's wedding in Bali, Indonesia. And I started to work out more in the gym and started to run as well outside, and then started to, because I was feeling better and actually losing weight and feeling stronger and I had more energy, I was starting to understand food more in a way that, okay, if I want to go and do this or work out a bit more or run a bit further, what can I do with food that's going to help me, enable me to do that? And so then I started to research more about food. I think it was maybe 8 years ago. My wife, Max, said, right, we read something about sugar, and it was this Australian dietitian. And so we said, okay, let's cut out sugar, completely cut out sugar from our diet. And that's really difficult at first to do, because you have to, we must have looked like weirdos in supermarkets, because we're reading the labels meticulously on everything we pick up to double check and make sure there's no actual added sugar in the ingredients. But what that allowed us to do was it completely changed our lifestyle and the way we looked and eat food.
Well, the issue is that, it is looked at as you are a weirdo there. I'm really blessed I live in Los Angeles, because yes, there are tons of people who are overweight here. And of course we have fast food restaurants and everything like everyone else, but there is an overarching culture of fitness within Los Angeles. And it's something I'm really grateful for, because if you're at a party or an event or at a school function for your kids, you can easily talk to the woman next to you about, oh, like, have you ever tried that spin class? Or did you ever try that yoga studio? Or where do you work out? It is a conversation that you can have, or you can go to a restaurant, you can say, oh, excuse me, I'm dressing on the side, or instead of the pasta, can you bring me brown rice, or whatever it is. And it's not necessarily frowned upon. People understand it. If you do go to the Midwest, if you do go to some areas, you are looked at as the weirdo. And that's the start. Like, we need to change that from the start. This whole, like, that's why the COVID-19, the new associations of obesity on actual mortality, hopefully will wake up people's minds, because it has to get cool to be eating healthy. We have to get to that place. And Dan Buettner, for those who don't understand, he studies the areas of the world that have the greatest rates of longevity. And he studies areas like Icaria, Greece, and Okinawa, Japan, where it's not, these people don't only live much longer than we do here in America. They don't necessarily just, instead of passing in their 80s, it might be their 90s. They also live better longer. So they're not dying on dialysis and in a wheelchair or in a nursing home. They're living, they're thriving, they're farming, they're hiking, they're bike riding, they're participating in cultures with their family up until the end of their life. They're living well. And that is because it's celebrated. It's actually celebrated. And one thing we have in America, anytime you look at activities to do with your kids in the kitchen, it's always baking. everyone's just baking cakes. Even in quarantine, everyone's just baking cakes and baking cakes. I'm really thankful that my daughter is helping me put the mushrooms in the tomato sauce. She's basting the salmon with the marinade, right? Because if you go to countries like Italy and Greece, they're not just baking the sweets. They were also helping the parents, stir the stew, stir the soup, chop up garlic, all these things. So we have to change our culture, our mindset that it's cool that you're reading a label. It's actually cool and interesting that you're actually taking effort into what's going in your body. And I think step one for me is, as an overweight person, I was always concerned people were judging me, that what I was eating. I thought everyone was always looking at my plate, wondering if I'm eating too much or eating too little, until I finally changed my mindset and realized, who cares what anyone else thinks? If anyone's looking at my plate, they're not looking at enough at their own, and I need to focus more on my own and not on what they're thinking. So
Yeah.
I do think it's just, a lot of it is like a mindset, a cultural, behavioral shift we have to make as step one. And I talk about that a lot within my book, as well as then what to do, what to eat, and like the actual nitty gritty of it.
So I will ask you about the book because I do have it here. But first of all, just explain what the 2B mindset is.
Okay, great. So I had a very successful weight loss program I was running at UCLA for many years. And I was also seeing private clients. And I saw for the first time in real time, not only have I lost 100 pounds with my system and program, but since acquiring the education in order to feel like I have the credibility to help others do it too, I saw people were melting down pounds like nothing, but also telling me, Ilana, this is crazy that I'm losing so much weight with you. I did Pritikin, I did Whole30, I did paleo, I did keto, I had a meal plan from my trainer. I don't know what you're doing differently, but it's working. I don't really know how to explain it, but it's just, I've never felt this good. It's never worked this well, and all of this. So I didn't know what was so different about my method compared to others, because I kind of went into it early, but I knew that there was a collective statement and understanding that people were trying at UCLA to get into my class. My clients were trying to get in, like I had a wait list, and I didn't know what was so different. So I met Beachbody, and Beachbody is the company. Not a lot of people know the name Beachbody, but a lot of people know the programs that they've created, like P90X, Insanity, 80-Day Obsession. Like, they have just so many programs now, Lift 4 and so forth. And they basically are like the geniuses who take a world star personal trainer and turn it into a program that could be on everyone's TVs in every living room across the UK, now France, United States, Canada, and beyond, and hit millions of users. So people in their living rooms feel like they are getting access to this world star personal trainer. And that takes a lot of effort. That takes a lot of production. That takes a lot of understanding. That takes having modifiers on the crew, and having a calendar, and bringing people through a course and a program in a way where they're actually seeing very, very good results. So it was really perfect kismet that I reached Beachbody, because at first I was like, there's no way you're going to be able to scale my program and what I do in my private practice setting to the masses. And they were like, we're going to do it, and we're going to do it even better. And it wasn't a quick thing. I think my program with Beachbody was one of the longest research and development projects they've ever done, because they had to really understand. They gave me a pilot group, like a test group of 40, 50 people, different walks of life, like actors, teachers, women in their 60s or 70s, and people in their 20s and 30s. And I basically took them on as private clients, and Beachbody listened to our conversations. They understood my method. I got people down 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, up to 110 pounds. And they started keeping it off. And from that research and understanding and working with them, we figured out how we're going to scale this. So we turned it into a video-based program. You can watch the whole program, which we call the 2B Mindset, in about 3 hours. And it feels like you're having about 10 private sessions with me. And then because the demand was so high, we launched a monthly membership called the Mindset Membership, where I dive into a different monthly topic each month, like late night eating and emotional eating, and just breaking a plateau by choosing smarter foods and so forth. And now we have like 12,000 people in that. So it's a video-based program. It's called the 2B Mindset. And based on its success, we also came out with a book, because the program is now, about we just hit our actually 2-year anniversary. So since the past 2-3 years of developing it, I've had a lot of private clients. I've had a lot of experience counseling more people. I've had a baby, lost more weight myself. So my book is a deeper dive into, first of all, if you've never done the program, you'll learn what to do and how to do it. And you kind of get the snapshot of a 2B mindset in book form. But you also go a little bit deeper into self-sabotage thinking, the negative mindset, the emotional eating. Like, why do you keep buying those Oreo cookies over and over again? Why do you keep looking at Shake Shack and In-N-Out as your comfort food? Why do you keep seeing, healthy food as a chore? Why are you not consistent? Why do you keep thinking you need to start Monday? Why are you going off the rails? So the book really dives deep into, like, get yourself on track, get yourself consistent. Plus there's recipes in here, a meal plan and so forth. I'm really, really proud of this book.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited because the last conversation when we met quite a while ago, we were talking about the book and the launch of the book and what you were going to be doing. And it just blew my mind because you're a wife, you're a mother, and you run this incredible business. You do all of the content for Beachbody. You also do all of your own content for your YouTube series. You do your own, just so much, and how you can fit and squeeze a book into that. And then there was going to be a book tour, which I'm sure will come eventually. But I think just going back to something you said that is really important in what you do and how easy it is for people to connect with you on this journey is because you're essentially letting them know, look, I understand the issues, the struggles you're dealing with, and you're actually pointing those out. Whereas other people or other diets or whatever might not do that. They might just be trying to shove information down your throat.
I'm really not perfect. Like, I really don't use measuring spoons. I really don't cut anything out. I really drink alcohol. I really eat carbs. I really eat chocolate every single day in some form or another. So yes, I do eat broccoli, but only if it's super delicious and it's mouth watering and I'm still a foodie at heart. I mean, my kids are home. My husband's home. I'm stressed out by it all. I'm like finding myself like eating hurried, eating mindlessly, whatever. We're all in this together. No, there's no perfect way of eating. There's no judgments on yourself or others when it comes to food. There's literally no template for a perfect way to eat. Everyone needs to define their perfect. So I really try to help people bring themselves to that place rather than dictate it for them, so they ultimately feel empowered and it's something that they can keep up.
Tell me a bit about, you have these incredible sort of one-word affirmations or two-word affirmations.
They're called Ilana-isms.
I love Ilana-isms. Yeah. Tell me about those.
Okay, so my father was in marketing and everything like that. And I realized how much marketing was working against me. My father, when we grew up, we were obsessed with food, still are. And my father would always say, "What's better than food?" And we would all say, "Free food." And like, that was just our combinations of food and everything was just so outrageous. And then if you think all you can eat buffets and buy one, get one free, everything was just like volume meter. So then I like to rhyme. I like to do things like that. So I had to create little mantras in my own head that are simple and that work for me. So first and foremost, I have it like printed here: water first, veggies most. I have all these like lights because I'm filming nonstop all my content here. But I have water first, veggies most. Like, that's my forward trademark. That, like, there's t-shirts, there's things, water first, veggies most. Just every time I want to go for chocolate chips, go for potato chips, I always just tell myself, water first. Did you have your water first? 16 ounces of water first, veggies most. Not just veggies some, but really try to get in veggies most. But then when it comes, like, more water, more weight loss. Like, a lot of people are like, I can't drink so much water, I have to pee. Like, while you're drinking the water, just remind yourself, more water, more weight loss. 2 pounds at a time. Like, when I was talking to you, Luke, you said when it came to running, you taught yourself, like, if you could do around the block, you could go around 2 blocks. If you go around 2 blocks, you could go around 4 blocks. Same thing in a little step. So 2 pounds at a time. When I was 100 pounds overweight, if I thought about being in the 120s, I would have just given up. I would have just been like, I'm so far away from there, it'll never happen. But going from 215 to 213, okay, you celebrate 213, then you go to 211, then you go to 209. Those little wins really help you. Treat, not cheat. I hate the word cheat. When people say I cheated I cheated this weekend. I cheated last night. I don't understand it. There's nothing positively associated with cheating. Makes you feel guilty. Makes you feel like you should just like it's cheat day. You might as well go all out. You don't even taste. You don't even appreciate. So treat every time you're eating something that feels decadent. Say, I'm treating myself. I'm fully enjoying this. You're not cheating. You're not cheating anyone. This is your life. You're not like getting graded or whipped by anyone else. It's your life. So treat yourself. Don't cheat yourself. I got a lot. I mean, one that really helps me just being around my kids more is better in the trash than in your body, like better in the waste than on your waist. When it comes to the kids' crumbs or last couple of bites of their noodles or whatever it is, I have to tell myself, like, it's better in the trash than in your body, right? You're not a trash can. You don't just have to like hoover it down. Like it's better in the waist than on my waist. All these things, and it helps. It helps in the moment. It helps empower you. It helps you stay focused because we're in such a wildly distracting time. And we have a very finite amount of focus. A lot of people feel like it's okay that they waste 40% of their day focused on how much they hate Trump or how much this. It's not okay, because when you spend that amount of focus, you're not focused enough on what you're eating, what you're doing, how much activity you're getting, how much time you're spending connecting with your friends and family who need you and who you need them. So you need these quick little mantras to simplify your focus and steer you back on course of where you really want to be. So I do love those, and I think a lot of people love them too. Mhm.
Well, I think there's a few things that I was thinking about that I'd like to mention, but just to go back to the fact of drinking 16 ounces of water, because when you say it, it sounds straightforward, but a lot of people might not quite understand that. And I know this myself, that if you drink that much water and then you go to eat some food, whatever that food is, you physically can't eat a lot of food because your body's dealing with all of the water you've just drunk.
It's like passive self-control. I didn't have self-control. To this day, if I'm really hungry and I have a Twizzler or a gummy bear or a potato chip, I'm not going to stop at one. That's not in my DNA. So I've created all these processes so when you're really hungry and really vulnerable, you wouldn't have that as your first bite, because studies, and I add I mean, the more and more research I did through my schooling, the more and more I'm becoming like a nutrition expert, the more and more I saw that this wasn't just in my head. This is actually in practice. They've done studies to show that your first bite is what you go back for. So if your first bite is a potato chip, you will go back for potato chips. If your first bite is chicken, you're going to go back for more protein. If your first bite is a veggie, you will actually go back for more veggies. So a lot of people are like, oh, I don't like veggies. If you slice up a red bell pepper and you're really hungry and you first go through those slices of bell peppers dipped in hummus or whatever it is, you will actually want to go back for more. So without having to work as hard. So I'm all about efficiency. I'm a New Yorker. I'm like a busy person. So it's all about how to create like passive self-control. So you're not sitting here battling yourself. Self-control is very exhausting. Staring at a bag of chips and telling yourself not to eat them when you're hungry is very difficult. I mean, that takes so much time and energy, and eventually that will burn out. So you have to set yourself up for success. So I have a 3-pillar approach to weight loss, which I talk about within my book. One is environment, insight, and stomach. Don't have the bag of chips out on your counter, right? Don't necessarily buy them or keep them right in your pantry if that's the thing that's your trigger food. So insight and stomach, have your environment work for you. And then it's also the emotional reaction. It's also the nutritional, like what should you go for first so you're actually full and satisfied. Because if your cravings for things are a 10 and a 0 is, we all wish we were a 0 on cravings. We all wish we were like an engineer in Silicon Valley who could just drink Soylent 3 a day and then be fine, doesn't care about food. Most of us seek food as a pleasure source, especially now when we're not going to movies or concerts and stuff like that. So it's a big range there. You want to get yourself into be as control of your emotions, as strong in your sentiments towards food as possible before reaching for it, so you can make more controlled choices. And for me, that was novel. That was crazy to think that I can be around this, to think that I could even have just tons of cookies in my house right now for my kids or my husband and I'm not going for them is so exciting. Like I'm
Yeah.
so proud of myself. I didn't have, there was a stage where I couldn't even keep them in the house, and I had to learn like what to eat during that process. And now, with the 2B mindset, I'll accelerate you through the process. So you really do see that you will be able to have these things around. You'll be able to see them, but you're going to feel such a new state of self-control. And that's the part I think even more than the weight loss that I feel like I'm really obligated to share with the world, because control, like being able to feel totally in control around food, is really, really satisfying if that's something you didn't have before.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's just incredible, Ilana. But there was something that you mentioned just before that was making me think. I've read a lot about mindfulness and mindset. And there was what I remember, it sticks in my mind. I remember there was this one mindfulness practice based around food, because it was teaching basically to be more mindful when you eat, right? And we are living in such a fast-paced society or way of life that you'll eat in the car as you're driving somewhere. You'll eat watching television instead of at a dining table. You're not really actually mindful or focused on the actual food that you're consuming. And alongside the mindfulness of the eating practice, there's also the gratitude for the food that you have on your plate as well. And, we skip all of those steps, all of those stages. We're not mindful about how we're eating or what we're eating. We're not grateful for what we have on our plates or what we're eating.
Right.
We're just quick,
Yeah.
ingest as
And
quick as
I like to
possible.
meet people where they are, right? I like to really meet people where they are. And a lot of people look at like the 2B mindset. They're like, oh gosh, am I going to be sitting here meditating on a grape? No, you're not. You're not at all. You're going to eat delicious, satisfying food. Even personally, I never even used the word mindset. It's actually that test group, those people, the 50 people who actually helped name the program. They were the ones who said, when we interviewed them, like, what do you think this program should be called? They were the ones who were like, listen, I don't know what this woman is doing to me. She never told me I can't eat the Snickers, but for some reason, I just don't want to. I don't know how she programmed me differently to feel that way, but it's like she changed my mindset. So it's kind of just the way I guess I'm wired or how I work. But yeah, there's definitely a component to being grateful, but there right now, I think so many people are in a state of worry or disarray or uncertainty that they can't even think about mindful eating. So that's why I'll say I try to speak to everything. Listen, if right now you're feeling like everything is chaotic and mindless, then at least when you're watching television, you're not paying attention anyway. So you might as well trade up the chips for popcorn, at least that isn't deep fried and is more airy and at least has fiber, like, because for me personally, I didn't start by being like a mindful eater. I went from eating loads of like buttery popcorn in front of the TV to eating air popcorn to eating bird's eye frozen broccoli with butter spray and salt, and then saw, okay, that's step one. So I really try to relate to people at all stages. I work with a lot of people in just losing the last 5 pounds, but also the first 50 or whatever it is. So I think people should know if the concept of like eat like you love yourself or mindful eating feels so like esoteric, out of this world, something that you're not there for, don't worry. Like, I got you. Like, we start one step and stage at a time, and then you ultimately do get to this point. But I always say, like, emotional eating, reckless eating, binge eating, all that stuff, it doesn't start in a day. So I really walk you through how to overcome it stepwise fashion. So you're losing weight along the way, but you're picking up new habits and behaviors and a way of thinking and approaching life and food that you will ultimately be able to keep it off for good. So that's my whole approach. It's a little different.
Well, I think just to go back to Dan Buettner's work with the blue zones and all of those areas you were mentioning, say Greece, for example, or even Spain or Italy, Southern Europe, a lot of those regions or areas, they'll eat as a family. The eating is about something bigger than the food itself, right?
Yeah, and it's a lot more savory than sweet. I always tell clients, like, you rather savory than sweet. I always rather a client, be really into like a bacon and Brussels sprout appetizer at a restaurant than go to the restaurant for like their churros and chocolate syrup. Savory. cooking and more depth of flavors. It takes more time. All that stuff is definitely also ingrained in their culture. Having an appreciation, enjoying cooking. I mean, I think one of the best aspects of the staying home process, while my heart goes out for these restaurants like so much, and people should support them as much as you can, and I hope they bounce back and they come back. And I love going to restaurants, but I think it is really nice that people are cooking more. They're seeing how much more affordable it is to cook more. They're seeing how much more healthful it can be to cook more. Even if you create all food equal, or a lot of people are just like eating less by eating at home, because you're not getting the appetizer and the main and the dessert and the sugary cocktails. Right now, it might be from sugary cocktails to wine. It might be from appetizer and main to dessert to just two of those courses or just the main. A lot of people don't want to be cooking again, so they're putting away half of the portion so they could eat that again for lunch. So I do think we're kind of embracing a return to the kitchen, like these cultures in the world that do have greater longevity and health overall. So hopefully it steers us in that direction.
So tell me about the book, right? I mean, you've already told me, but when is this going to be available?
You can order it now, which is so exciting. No matter when you're listening to this, you can go to Amazon right this second and go to just search "You Can Drop It." You can drop it. You can drop the excuses, the negativity, the self-sabotage thinking, the pounds, the fat, all of it. You can drop it. And within the book, you get definitely my program, my approach to eating and living in a way that will help you drop the pounds and keep them off for good. But also within the book, which Luke, I really hope you and your wife try out. I have 50 recipes that are drool worthy delicious. Like I made 2 of the recipes I had today. The everything sauce in the book is good on literally everything. Like if you get a steamable bag of like cauliflower florets and you just dip it in that everything sauce, you'll want to pour that on literally everything. A turkey sandwich, everything. You'll dip it with veggies galore. The chocolate sea salt morning shake is delicious. I just had that chocolate sea salt morning shake is really good. Tropical mango salad. The bacon and date cabbage salad is amazing. So again, like I never take away delicious flavors. I just bring them into a way that will actually help you drop the pounds and feel better and improve your health.
That's good. I'm going to check this sweet and savory everything sauce. I can't wait to check this.
And what's really cool is not only do I have the recipes within the book, but I actually also have a 4-week slim down plan. So if someone does want a meal plan, you not only get like actual meal plan using the recipes that are within the book, but we also break down the grocery list, the tips for meal prepping. So if you're going to want to cook the whole week's worth of food in one shot, wash and chop the veggies, remember to move the slow cooker thing to the fridge, thaw it out on Monday night. So literally a 4-week slim down plan, like where you have the recipes, you have the grocery list. You can actually follow what to eat for breakfast, lunch, dinner, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, with variety throughout the way. So it literally, you're getting the philosophy, the understanding, the strategies for losing weight, but you're also getting the practical tools. Like you're next, you're going to want to eat X, Y, Z. I'm not here just for fluff advice. I want to give people like super practical. Tomorrow, you're going to wake up, you're going to weigh in, you're going to read this, so you actually see the results you need and have enough discipline to get the results and to get you out of your old ways, but enough freedom so you're able to do this in a stepwise fashion that you can actually sustain in your life.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of color.
That's fantastic.
There's
I love
a super impressive amount of color within the book.
I'm definitely going to make that everything sauce tonight.
Really
Before we wrap this up, Ilana, you've given so much incredible information and I'm truly grateful for your time. Can you just give me one small piece of advice, if anybody's watching or listening to this, that they can literally take away in their mind and hold and use practically? Just something really quick and simple.
I love this one line by Jim Quick. I don't know if you know him. He's like a neurology expert, but he has this one line, which is the mind is like a parachute. It only works if it's open. Like if you're jumping off of a helicopter, if the parachute's not open, it's just not going to work. Your mind is like a parachute. It only works if it's open. And I just want you, if you've been listening this whole time and you're like, she's full of crap, I have the worst genes, she doesn't know that I have this issue and I have that issue and I have my mother-in-law's cooking that I'm never going to be able to say no to, or I can't work out, or all these excuses. I get you. I feel you. There are over 240,000 people who found success with this program. It actually can work for you too. And if you're coming in with a lot of, I still need to count macros, I still need to count calories and points and portions and this and that, then it's going to be really hard for you to actually take this in and let it show you the potential and the results that you have inside of you. So get the book. You can drop it. You can go to tobemindset.com to watch my videos as well. Again, everything's returnable. Everything you can return, you can stop using, you can stop. But if you're going to embrace this, just know that you can, you will, because you care to actually lose this weight and get it. So come in with an open mind and let me help you, because I needed this too. Like this whole approach changed and saved my life, and I know it can help you too. So come in with an open mind so you see the best results.
That's incredible. And so it's tobemindset.com, and just give us your Instagram as well.
It's my name, Ilana Muhlstein at gmail.com. It's ILANA. And then on TikTok, I am Nutrition Babe, and I'm a little ridiculous there, but you know, you gotta give the point however people will take the attention.
I love it. I love it. Ilana, I can't thank you enough for your time. You're an incredible human being. I love your energy and passion.
Thank you.
And
let me know where I could post this. Yeah, and definitely include my Instagram so people can get good Snapchats and then
of course. Yeah. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Of course.
I can't wait to see you again soon.
Yes, in person.
Definitely.
All right. Okay, I'll stop the recording.